Several heated exchanges between President Trump and the White House press corps yesterday, but the one everyone is talking about was the president's latest confrontation with CNN chief White House correspondent Jim Acosta, and his White House hard pass was suspended as a result. I'm joined now by Chris Wallace, anchor of Fox News Sunday, someone who used to be a reporter in the briefing room. I was at the podium in the briefing room, and I wondered what your general thoughts are on this, Chris.
Well, let me just say, first of all, it doesn't seem very important after that horrific story that you just told, but it is in the news. Jim Acosta was called on by the president, asked a question that seemed to be more to be an argument than really a question, and after he'd asked several questions, the president told him to sit down, and he refused to. And as you saw, a White House intern came over and tried to take the microphone away, and he put his hand up and did touch the intern in refusing to give up the microphone. You know, I covered the White House for 6 years during the Ronald Reagan years, and along with me, Sam Donaldson. I think we were pretty tough, persistent, aggressive reporters, but we never did anything like what Jim Acosta did yesterday. I think he embarrassed himself. I think, as I say, first of all, it was more of an argument than it was a question. He was disrespectful to his colleagues in asking repeated questions and thereby making it harder for them to get in a question. And then the President of the United States told him to sit down, and he refused, and he kept talking. I wanted to talk about this because you and I never worked in the White House on different ends of the briefing, but what would your advice to the president and to the White House have been how to deal with this?
Well, we never had a situation like this. I do remember revoking a hard pass for a reporter, but that was because of some really egregious behavior, stealing from colleagues, rifling through another person's desk. That a hard pass is a security document. I had other ways to deal with reporters. Marlon Fitzwater, I think he would put people out of business for 24 hours or something like that. I remember one reporter that was again, egregious, argumentative rather than news gathering, which I'm for news gathering. And I told my staff, and I held to it, that he was in the deep freeze for a while. So, you know, we just basically tried to freeze him out a little bit just to give ourselves some space, you know, because things can get heated, and the president punches back at these reporters. You know, the White House press corps' mission is to cover the White House, to basically chronicle the presidency, to explain the White House decision and decision-making. Arguing with the president doesn't get you there. And the president's been quite willing to take lots of questions from these reporters. I do know that a lot of Jim Acosta's colleagues are very frustrated with him. They, of course, defend his right to ask a question, but you know, when he gets in the way of everyone being able to actually do their job and to fulfill that mission, I think that's a problem. And the other thing I would just say is, one thing I learned from President Bush is, you know, find ways to de-escalate tension. And I think the problem here, Chris, is I don't know if either side wants to de-escalate.
No, I think actually both of them have made a calculated decision that it serves their purposes to continue this. The president knows that it's a good line and a big source of support on the trail and among his base to take on reporters, and Jim Acosta strikes me as a showboat who would like to get attention more than he'd like to get answers to questions. Having said that, I am troubled by pulling the hard pass because, look, you can argue he was a jerk and he deserves it, but obviously at a certain point you begin to wonder, look, Barack Obama in effect declared war on Fox News at one point, and interestingly enough, under a different CNN regime, CNN stood with us and said, look, if you're going to try to freeze Fox out, we're not going to participate in certain pool events either. We do have to stick together, but I got to say, Jim Acosta makes it awfully hard to have journalistic solidarity in something like
Pulling
this.
The hard pass seems a little disproportionate, but I also have to wonder if at some point Jim Acosta or maybe CNN needs to make a decision, like, who is this helping? You know, are we able to help fulfill the mission that we're trying to do, or are we actually getting to scrapes every day that are a distraction and takes away from what the unit of the White House press corps is there to do?
That then raises the question, what do the bosses at CNN see as their mission? In this particular case, is it to cover the news, or is it to make a scene?
Well, you know, we'll find out. We'll see. Chris Wallace, thank you.